Everyone double checks things sometimes. For example, you might double check to make sure the stove or iron is turned off before leaving the house. With people with obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, feel the need to check things repeatedly, or have certain thoughts or perform routines and rituals over and over. These thoughts and rituals associated with OCD cause distress and get in the way of daily life. The frequent upsetting thoughts are called obsessions. To try to control them, a person will feel an overwhelming urge to repeat certain rituals or behaviors called compulsions. People with OCD People with OCD cannot control these obsessions and compulsions. Most of the time, rituals end up controlling them. For example, if people are obsessed with germs or dirt, they may develop a compulsion to wash their hands over and over again. If they develop an obsession with intruders, they may lock and relock their doors many times before going to bed. Being afraid of social embarrassment may prompt people with OCD to comb their hair compulsively in front of the mirror. Sometimes they get caught in the mirror and can't move away from it. Performing such rituals are not pleasurable. At best, it produces temporary relief from the anxiety created by obsessive thoughts. Other common rituals are a need repeatedly to check things, touch things, especially in a particular sequence, or count things. And some obsessions, including having frequent thought of violence and harming loved ones, persistently thinking about performing sexual acts the person dislikes, or having thoughts that are prohibited by religious beliefs. People with OCD may also be preoccupied with order and symmetry, have difficulty throwing things out, or hoard unneeded items. Health people also have rituals, such as checking to see if the stove is off several times before leaving the house. The difference is that people with OCD perform the rituals even though doing so interferes with daily life, and they find repetition distressing. Although most of those with OCD recognize that what they are doing is senseless, some adults and most children may not realize that their behavior is out of the ordinary. Causes. OCD runs in some families, but no one knows for sure why some people have it and why others don't. Researchers have found that several parts of the brain are involved in fear and anxiety. By learning more about fear and anxiety in the brain, scientists may be able to create better treatments. Researchers are also looking for ways in which stress and environmental factors may play a role.
Behavior modification is a treatment approach based on principles of operant conditioning that replaces undesirable behaviors with more desirable ones through positive or negative reinforcement. Behavior modification is based on the principles of operant conditioning, which were developed by American behaviorist B.F. Skinner. Skinner formulated the concept of operant conditioning, through which behavior could be shaped by reinforcement or lack of it. Skinner considered his concept applicable to a wide range of both human and animal behaviors. One behavior modification technique that is widely used is positive reinforcement, which encourages certain behaviors through a system of rewards. In behavior therapy, it is common for the therapist to draw up a contract with the client establishing the terms of the reward system. Another behavior modification technique is negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is a method of training that uses a negative reinforcer. A negative reinforcer is an event or behavior whose reinforcing properties are associated with its removal. For example, terminating an existing electric shock after a rat presses a bar is a negative reinforcer. In addition to rewarding desired behavior, behavior modification can also discourage unwanted behavior through punishment. Punishment is the application of an aversive or unpleasant stimulus in reaction to the particular behavior. For children, this could be the removal of television privileges when they disobey their parents or teacher. The removal of reinforcement altogether is called extinction. Extinction eliminates the incentive of unwanted behavior by withholding the expected response. A widespread parenting technique based on extinction is a timeout, in which a child is separated from the group when he or she misbehaves. This technique removes the expected reward of parental attention.
Well, I'm here because my dermatologist said I have chapped hands and he wanted me to ask about them. And I said I wash my hands all the time because of my fear of germs, and I didn't want to get sick.
Okay, well, can you tell me any instances where this has impacted your life?
I was thinking about how I was always washing my hands and to keep the germs away. My boss and I were working late a few days ago, and he stuck his hands out for a shake. Into this is a common gesture, but I couldn't get myself to shake his hand. And when I didn't shake his hand, he gave me the weird look, and it made me think of what I had just insulted my boss.
Okay, well, it seems that this anxiety fear of getting germs from other people and other things is causing some uncomfortable situations, especially in the workplace. Could you tell me more about your thoughts when your boss stuck his hand out to you?
Well, I was thinking, what kind of things had he touched today? Has he washed his hands at all? There's a lot of germs out there, and also sick people. If I touched his hand, I would have those germs on my hand.
Okay. Could you tell me the feelings you had when he stuck his hand out?
I was feeling kind of nervous, almost like panicking. And when I stepped back, all these thoughts started running through my head.
Okay. So when your boss extended his hand, it caused you to have kind of a panicky feeling and created some unwanted anxiety. Is that kind of right?
Exactly.
Okay. And so, how has washing your hands impacted your life so far?
Well, my hands are always chapped. It is something hard for me in relationships. I've had a lot of people leave me. It is kind of hard to stay with someone who won't even touch your hand because they're so afraid of the germs.
Okay, and well, how often do you wash your hands?
Well, I wash my hands a whole bunch.
So about 20 times a day?
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, explain to me the process in which you wash your hands.
I turn on warm water and rinse my hands in the water. Then I put about 3 squirts of soap on my hand and scrub for about 30 seconds. And I make sure they are clean paper towels ready for me to grab. Otherwise, I have to start the process over. And sometimes I just feel dirty when I touch my face or my hair. And that just makes me want to get in the shower, so I usually shower 3 times a day.
So how long has this need to wash your hands affected you?
I say it started about the beginning of my freshman year, give or take a few. It started out pretty bad. When my mom died, it made things a whole lot worse. I had the need to wash my hands all day.
So this has impacted your life for quite some while.
Yes, it has.
Okay, and so we've covered a good amount today, and I just want to summarize what happened so far. So you told me that you referred to me by your dermatologist because you've reported chapped hands, and then you've always had the need to wash your hands, and you told me the incident about your boss and how you felt uncomfortable not shaking his hand. And you told me this has affected you for a good little while. You wash your hands a whole lot, all day almost. It's probably taking a lot of time. And well, have you ever heard of something called OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder?
Is that the thing where people have to keep everything perfect?
Yeah, well, it's an anxiety disorder which causes you to have unwanted feelings, thoughts, and behaviors that drive you to do something such as washing your hands. Oh, there are many types of treatments I would like to try, like cognitive behavioral therapy with you. This type of treatment examines the relationship between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And so, I'm going to do something called exposure and response prevention.
Oh, okay. What is that?
Well, exposure and response prevention, also known as ERP, is when we confront your fears. We're going to make you touch something that you feel is dirty, is contaminated, and is uncomfortable. And instead of going to wash your hands immediately, we're gonna sit here for a good little while and touch other things like your face, your phone, and things of that nature. And we're going to see how your feelings are. And over time, it's gonna help you. And yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound like fun.
I know it's cruel, but eventually you'll be able to live with this anxiety you've had for this long period of time.
Sound good to me.